Alrighty, so welcome everybody to physics in term 4. So term 4 is kind of a weird term. It only lasts for 4 weeks. And so physics is a really big subject all about motion and forces and how things move when they hit other things. It can get very, very complicated. So my goal and what I'm going to be trying to do here is kind of break it down and focus on sort of the biggest, most important ideas without getting too bogged down in the nitty-gritty details. My name, as we'll talk about in a second, is Mr. Stanley. You can call me Mr. Michael or Mr. Stanley, or just Mr. works for most of the time. I usually am pretty aware of who you're talking to. Hey, Frishta, good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So, like I was saying, this is physics, which is the study of how things move and how things interact when they hit other moving things. And so I'm pretty excited for this class. This is actually my first time teaching this class. We've never done it at the Excel Center before. And so I wanted to use this kind of 4-week mini term to test it out, see if I could do a good enough job at explaining some of the basic ideas of it that you guys are able to understand it. So one of the things that you may have noticed I'm doing right now is recording this meeting. I record every single one of the class meetings that we have for all of my classes, just because I know that students I found really like it when they have the ability to go back and watch a video that was posted about the subject that we just talked about. Especially, I know people get nervous about if they miss a class and then they feel like they're behind. I've heard from a lot of students that they really like having the video to go back to and watch. So I always try to make sure to remember to start my class by recording it. At the end of each class, within usually about 10 or 15 minutes, I'm able to upload that recording to YouTube and post a link to it in our Google Classroom so that everybody can see it. So speaking of the Google Classroom, today what I want to do with you guys is just kind of take you on a tour of the Google Classroom, talk a little bit about how I personally like to set up the different stuff in the classroom, where you can find different important information, and then do a little presentation that talks a little bit more about what this class is and some important Excel Center policies that it's good to be refreshed on before we get too much further into the school year. So let me go ahead and take you guys to the Google Classroom right now. So here is a screen that I hope you guys are familiar with, our Google Classroom homepage. It mentions that this class is physics, that your teacher is Mr. Stanley, and that we meet every day, Tuesday and Thursdays, from 5 to 6:30 p.m. That's the time period for this class. As some people have pointed out to me, you may have noticed on the Skyward that you're enrolled in 2 physics classes. There's one that says it's from like 3:30 to 5 and one from 5 to 6:30. That earlier one is essentially a kind of individual work and study time session for you guys. That'll also be a time where I'll be available by phone or by email or for a one-on-one kind of like tutoring if you need it, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And so that time, we're not going to be meeting as a class during those 3:30 to 5 p.m. times, but that is a time set aside if you want to use that time to work on your physics work or come to me asking questions about physics. That's kind of what that time is there for. So every Tuesday and Thursday, right before we have a meeting, just like I did today, I'll post about 5 minutes before it starts with a reminder saying class is going to start. Here's the link so you can click on it directly from your email. I found that that is really helpful for a lot of people to be able to not even have to remember to like go to the class and go to the link page up here and click on it, But I sent an email out to everybody with that announcement saying that physics is starting in 5 minutes, and here is the link to click on. So the page that's probably the most important for you guys is the classwork page. So I have the syllabus posted up here that I'll talk about kind of towards the end of the class today. It essentially just wraps up a lot of the stuff that I'm going to go over. Right here in this topic is the class recordings. So this is where I'll post links to the YouTube videos of our different classes so that it's easy to find. It's right at the top of the page if you ever want to go back and rewatch one of the old videos. And then I have our term broken down week by week. So on my screen, you'll see some stuff that isn't posted for you guys yet. So don't worry about it. The things that you should be able to see are today's assignment, which include writing me an email, the notes that we're going to go over today, which basically just talk about the class and policies at the Excel Center, and the notes that we are going to talk about on Thursday. I like to post those early so that it gives you a chance, if you have some free time, you can look ahead and see what kind of stuff that we're going to be talking about. Also, because a lot of the times the daily assignment that we're doing on a certain day goes along with the notes that I'm posting for today. And since we don't meet until later in the day as a class, I like to post the notes early so that you can get started on the assignment, even if we haven't met as a class to discuss the notes yet. So like I said, every Tuesday, Thursday, I'll post a reminder about the class starting. And then at the end of class, I'll post the recording of that class in this section here. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll post a reminder in the Google Classroom and then send out an email reminding everybody to make sure to log on and do some sort of daily work for that day so that you can get counted for attendance. All right, so with all that out of the way, again, welcome to physics class. This is term 4 at the Excel Center. We are in the year 2021. And I have it posted in a couple different places down in the Google Classroom, but here is my email address. Just like all of your school emails, it is just my first name, last name, michael.stanley@goodwillexcel.org. Hopefully, most of you guys are already familiar with this email. I've already gotten emails from a couple of you for that first assignment. If you haven't done that yet, your first assignment that I posted for today is to send me an email with your name, the name of this class, which is physics, and then one question you have about this class or about the Excel Center in general. So if you type this name into your email and then put in that information and click send, you'll have completed your Tuesday assignment for this class. So today I want to tell you guys a little bit more about me. I found that I always like to try and make myself not just seem like a person on a screen teaching you physics, but a real person who lives in Austin and works at the Excel Center. A little bit about you guys, perhaps. I want to spend some time kind of talking about our online class policy. So just as a kind of reminder, if you've already been doing a lot of online work at the Excel Center, or a course for if this is your first year here, kind of a review of some of the important stuff to know about going forward. And then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we're actually going to be learning in this class. So like I said, my name is Michael Stanley. You can call me Mr. Stanley or Mr. Michael or just Mr. or Sir, although Sir still feels really weird to me. Mr. Stanley or Mr. Michael works just fine. So I actually grew up in the Austin area. I grew up in North Austin, really close to 620 and Anderson Mill and 2222, if you kind of know that area. That's where I am from. So I went to school here, went to high school here, graduated, went to college at the Texas A&M University and studied biology there. And then after I finished college, I am one of those very weird people who said, you know what? I just finished 12 years of school and 4 years of college. Do you want to know what I want to do? I want to do more school. And so I applied to different grad schools to study some more science even further. Ended up getting accepted at a program in a little town in Ohio and a university called Miami University. No, not that Miami, the one with the fun and the sun. That's not where I went. I went to southwestern Ohio, so just north of Cincinnati, in a little town basically surrounded by cornfields. So while I was there, I worked on my degree in biology. I did a lot of cool experiments using spiders. Actually, that was like my study organism. And I like being in Ohio. It was a cool place to live. And I enjoyed the work I was doing. While I was there, I met my then girlfriend, who then became my fiance and wife. So we got married in Ohio while we were both working on our degrees. But the thing about Ohio is that the winters, you guys, there is too cold up there. Like, you know, the temperatures that we had the other week when it was like the snowpocalypse, if you take away the ice and hardcore snow, but you keep the like 20, 30 degree weather for not just 1 week, but several months, that's basically what winters in Ohio are like. So I was like, I was up in Ohio for 5 years. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I got to go somewhere sunnier. I got to go somewhere nicer. So we both decided to move back down here to Austin. Not only is the weather better here and the food better here, we're also really close to my parents. My parents still live in Austin. And so being close to them is nice because a couple months after we moved down here, is when our daughter was born. So little Charlotte Stanley was born back in 2019. And so it was really nice being down here, being close to my parents who could be a big help out with that. Obviously, she doesn't quite look like that now. About a year later, she had gotten to looking like this. So she got the nice little curls and stuff in her hair. So we had a nice little photo shoot before her first birthday. And then now, just after, right around Christmas time, is when now she looks more like this. So obviously, I might be slightly biased, but in my opinion, she may be the cutest baby that ever lived, just quite possibly.
She is.
In this picture, we quickly learned that on Christmas Day, you should not give your babies the best present first, because we gave her a little Blue's Clues notebook because she really likes Blue's Clues. And then she did not want to open any of the other presents that we got her because she was too preoccupied with the Blue's Clues notebook. So that was a good thing to learn for future Christmases and future children's. And so we've been doing pretty well throughout the pandemic and even through the winter storm. A couple weeks ago, my parents luckily live close to us and they had power for most of the time. So we were able to go down there. So we're all doing really good. I also got a job at the Excel Center pretty soon after we moved down to Texas in the summer of 2019. And so I've now been here for about a year and a half or so. So I really enjoy working here. I really enjoy being back here in Texas. Like I said, the weather is better usually, the other week notwithstanding. The food is better, the people are better, everything truly is better in Texas, and especially in Austin, most of all. So normally if we were like in class in person, I'd have everybody stand up and we'd go around the room and I want to learn all about like the animals that you like and your subjects in school and stuff like that. So we'll skip over some of that for now. But one thing that I do want to know about you guys, and you can write it down in the chat if you want, or you can just answer out loud. But how long have you been at the Excel Center? So are you just starting here like this term or last term? Or have you been here for a couple terms, a couple semesters? Or are you getting close to graduating? Like maybe you have 1 or 2 terms left. So either out loud or in the comments section, feel free to share how long have you been at the Excel Center.
Hi, my name's Annalisa, and this is my first term, I guess, here.
Ooh, that's exciting. Well, welcome, welcome.
My name is Edith, and I started on term 3 and now going on term 4.
Okay, so this is just your second term.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Welcome, Edith. Thank you, guys. Anybody else? Who else has been here, is brand new, or is almost done? Ooh, Dennis is a veteran. He's almost done. Only got a term or so left to graduate. Well, congratulations, Dennis. Hopefully you make that goal this year. All right, Crystal, Frishta, Nancy, how long have you guys been at the Excel Center?
Hi, I'm Frishta Sarwari. I'm from Afghanistan. I came to United States in 2015, and I am almost 2 years in Goodwill Excel, but I am close to graduate.
Oh, awesome. Well, congratulations, Frishta. That is very
Thank
cool.
you.
Very, very cool. All right, Nancy is in her second term as well. So we got a bit of a mix here. And then Crystal is in her second year, only needs 8 credits left. Very, very cool. So we got a nice little mix of kind of old people and new people. So welcome, welcome. So it didn't sound like anybody in here is brand new to the Excel Center. So hopefully some of the stuff that I'm about to talk about with like attendance and makeup work and stuff like that will sound a little bit familiar to you, especially if you've been through any of our remote learning terms this year. So like term 1 or 2 or 3 of this year, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about should sound a little familiar, but hopefully it's always good, in my opinion, just to kind of get a refresher about everything. All right, so what exactly is physics? One of you guys, I think Crystal asked me earlier today in her email, what is physics? So physics is very, very broadly is the study of movement and motion. So these could be movement of things kind of on our scale, like movement of balls or things in sports, or movement of like vehicles or boats. Or it could be things on a really, really tiny, tiny scale, like the movement of electricity and atoms and magnets and stuff like that. Or it could be on a really, really huge scale, like the movement of buildings or the plates on the Earth or planets in the universe. It all has to do with movement. And so it all kind of falls under this big umbrella of physics. So in this class in specific, since we only have 4 weeks to kind of go through some of these major ideas, we're going to explore how do we describe movement. So what are some of the different ways that we can look at how things move? What are some of the natural forces shaping our world? So things like gravity and magnetism, how do they affect kind of our world and how different things interact? And then at the end, we're going to start to get into energy. So how things like heat and energy move is another part of physics. So we're going to look at what is energy and how is energy conserved, meaning when energy moves from one area to another, how do we make sure that all of the energy is accounted for? So that kind of all falls under this big umbrella of physics. So physics is just describing anything that is in motion, whether that be super tiny, subatomically small, or big, major, huge on the scale of like planets and galaxies. It all has to do with motion, and so it all has to do with studying physics. So some important classroom kind of attendance policies to remember as we go through term 4. Term 4 is going to work just like any other term. So you have to still have that 80% attendance rate in order to earn credit. And previous terms, some students have gotten into issues where they have completed all the work for the class and gotten like a 75 or an 80% in the class, but they had to retake the class again later because they had too many absences. So you want to make sure that you're doing your best to get your attendance marked off every single day, Monday through Thursday, that we are in term 4. So how are you able to do that? One of the best ways is just by coming to these Google Meet meetings. So every day that we have a session, so for us, that's the Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Obviously, you guys are super smart and already figured it out because you're here. You're in physics class right now. So please do your best to come to every one of these physics class. Especially for physics, some of the stuff that we're going to talk about can seem really complicated if you don't have somebody there kind of teaching you about it and walking you through it. So I know it's not always possible to come to every single one of these meetings, but please do your best to come to as many as you can. So on our off Zoom days, so on Mondays and Wednesdays each week, when we don't have a scheduled class, you're still required to get attendance. And the main way that you can do that is by completing a daily assignment. So every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in this class, I'm going to be posting a daily assignment. Sometimes it'll be just like a single question for you to answer. Sometimes it might be like a short worksheet to work on that has to do with the notes that we're going to talk about that day. But the way that you can earn attendance on the days that we don't have a meeting like this one is by doing those daily assignments. Those daily assignments also function as your grade. So for this first week, you're going to get 1 point in your grade just for sending me an email with a question about the class. And so I also post daily assignments on Tuesdays and Thursdays, partially so that you can still work on them and do a little bit of homework and get a grade for your work, but also just in case you're not able to come to the Tuesday, Thursday meeting, you can still get attendance by completing that daily assignment. And so even though you may not have been able to physically log on to your computer and join the Google meeting, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can still do those daily assignments and earn your attendance that way. I always keep track of who's turned in their daily assignments and when they turn it in. So as long as you're doing that, you'll be able to keep up with your attendance and not lose credit for the class for having too many absences. If you are expected to be out or you think that you're not going to make a class, I would definitely recommend notifying your life coach and or notifying me as well, because it helps us to kind of make sure that you didn't just randomly miss a day somewhere or that you accidentally dropped out of the class somehow. So the best way to avoid having any absences and keeping up with all of your classwork and attendance is just by checking on that Google Classroom every day and doing your best to complete those daily assignments. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, coming to your physics class. So we have a really short term in term 4. 4 weeks of 4 days means that we only have 16 days of class, essentially. So the 80% rule says that if you have more than 3 absences, so just 3 missed days of class over the next 4 weeks, so basically from now until the end of March, because we get a break in the middle of March for spring break. But from today until the last school day in March, you cannot have more than 3 absences. If you do, then you may not be able to earn credit for this class. You might fall under that 80% rule. And even though you went through physics for 4 weeks and did all the assignments, you still won't get the credit. So again, the best way to avoid this is checking your Google Classroom and completing an assignment every single day. So as long as just once a day, each assignment, I'm guessing, should take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes for a simple question, up to maybe at max 15 to 20 minutes for a worksheet that maybe has like 6 or 7 problems on it. So I try to design my work so that it doesn't take up too much of your outside time, because I know that it's super valuable to everybody. But by making sure that you do that and turn it in, you'll be able to make sure that you have that attendance for that day. So hopefully this is just kind of a review, and you've heard from all your previous teachers lots and lots and lots about making sure that you're logging in and doing assignments and getting your attendance. But does anybody have any questions about this stuff so far? Any questions about the attendance policy or the daily assignments or anything like that so far?
Not myself.
All right, great. Thanks for the feedback, Edith. Righty. So again, come to class as often as possible. Yep, Dennis, I did see your email earlier, so thank you for that heads up. Appreciate it. So again, just make sure come to the Tuesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. class as often as possible, and make sure every day you're logging on to your Google Classroom and doing one of those assignments. If it's like getting really close to the end of the day, like it's 11:50 p.m. and you're just logging on for the first time, and you think that the assignment might take you a little while, you can also earn attendance just by texting or emailing me and saying, hey, Mr. Stanley, I'm working on this assignment late. I might not be able to get it done by tonight, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm working on it. Even me hearing from you that you're working on it can still count as a attendance check, or still count in order to give you attendance. Right. So that was kind of my little spiel about absences. Again, the main thing it boils down to is just logging on to your Google Classroom and doing a daily assignment every day. And then you should be A-okay in terms of your attendance. So say you do have a day where you just completely miss class, or something comes up and you're not able to do your work on a certain day. So I'm totally fine with you guys turning in work a couple days or a couple weeks late. As long as you get it turned in to me, I really don't care in particular when you get it done. The thing that I do want to say, well, 2 things, is that I'm not going to be emailing you guys like every day saying, oh, hey, Nancy, just to let you know, you still haven't turned in this assignment. Or, hey, Annalisa, just a heads up, you missed this assignment yesterday. It's your guys' responsibility to check on the Google Classroom and see if there is an assignment that you missed. So if you forget to check the Google Classroom one day, or you totally miss attending, it's up to you to go back and see, okay, what was it that was the assignment that's due. I always try to make sure to make them as clear as possible. I'll go back and show you guys, but on the Google Classroom, they'll be labeled as like the March 2nd Tuesday assignment, the March 3rd Wednesday assignment, the March 4th Thursday assignment, so that you can hopefully find it pretty easily. Again, if you do miss a class, I'm totally fine with you turning it in late. Each assignment has a certain due date on it, which just works as a reminder to get it turned in for its attendance on that day. But if you turn it in a couple days late or a week late, I'll still give you full credit. I'm not going to take off any points for getting your work turned in late. I just want you to make sure to get it turned in. Because again, all of these assignments count as a grade in the grade book in some way or another. And any missing assignments can really do a lot to hurt your grade. I don't want anybody to fail this class just because you missed 1 or 2 assignments throughout the course of the class. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that, like I said, I don't really care when you get old assignments turned in, as long as they are turned in. However, they only count for attendance on the day that they are completed. So, for example, if somebody misses class on Monday, like say you totally forgot to log in and do the Monday daily assignment, and then other stuff gets in the way, but on Thursday, you come back and you're able to do the Monday assignment and turn it in. Obviously, you'll only get credit for completing a daily assignment on Thursday. I can't go back in time and say, oh, you completed the Monday assignment, so you get Monday attendance. You only get attendance for the day that you turned it in, the day that your work is completed. So if you miss a day, there really is basically nothing that I can do to go back and fix it. I will say it does usually take me sometimes a little while, like if you turn in stuff really late at night, you probably won't see your attendance update until sometime tomorrow afternoon. And so if it's only been a day or so and your Skyward still says that you are absent, don't freak out. Just know that I'm still working on it. I'm still going back and updating it. If it's been a couple days and Skyward says that you were absent on a day where you know you did something, then please let me know and I can go check it out and make sure that it's right. So please turn in any late work or makeup work. Just know that it'll only count for the attendance check on the day when it gets turned in.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes, Rishta, go for it.
Can we turn an incomplete assignment just for attendance and we complete it again tomorrow?
That is a great question. Yes, that is totally fine. If you're working on something and you get stuck, but you're not going to be able to come back to it until the next day, it is fine by me if you turn it in and then go back and finish it later on. I would suggest maybe writing a comment on it saying, hey, I know this isn't finished, but I'm just turning it in now. I'm going to go back and finish it later. Just so that if it's like 1 or 2 days later and I'm going in to grade it, I don't give you like a bunch of zeros for skipped questions. So yes, that is totally fine. Just maybe give me a heads up that you're going to finish it in a day or 2.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. That is a great question. All right. Any other questions about makeup work or attendance? All righty then. So finally, I've talked a lot about these daily assignments and doing all of this work and making sure that it gets turned in. So the last thing that I wanted to go through is how can you do the work and how can you make sure it gets turned in? So everything that I post for the notes and assignments on the Google Classroom will be in a couple different forms. So it's up to you whether you want to do one of the online forms or do it a little bit more traditional offline method. So what exactly do I mean by that? So for every assignment, I'll post it in a Google Doc version and a Google Form version. The Google Doc version looks like your traditional like word processor, where it just looks like a worksheet that's been put on a computer screen. The Google Form version is more set up in the form of like a quiz or a survey type thing, which I found students really like doing it that way because it's a little bit easier to navigate and put in your answers. And I'll show you an example of what this looks like here in a second. So you can do it online on the Google Doc or Google Form, whichever one works best for you. That's one way to do it. If you don't like doing work online, you prefer to work with like pen and paper, you can also print out the Google Doc and do the work at home. I've had a couple students in the past. I like having printed versions of the assignments. If you don't have a printer at home, but you still like using the pen and paper version, then you can also do it on just a blank sheet of paper. Make sure your name and the assignment name are on it very clearly labeled. And then you can just write down your answers to the different questions from the assignment. So if you don't like doing stuff on your phone or your computer, you're a big fan of the pen and paper version, that is one way to do it as well. So all three of those ways are different ways that you can do the assignments. You can write them, put down your answers, however works for you. Then you've got to turn them in. So there are a couple different ways that you can submit your work. The first thing that you want to do, if you did do it on a paper version, either a printout of the assignment or you just wrote down the answers on a scratch sheet of paper, make sure to take a picture of that on your phone. So if you did the Google form, it will automatically send me a notification that you completed it and turned it in. And it'll also, I have it set up so it'll send you a copy of your answers directly. You can also write in your answers on the Google Doc and then turn that in on the Google Classroom. Or you can upload your work directly from your phone onto the Google Classroom. So if you took a picture of your worksheet, you can submit that picture on the assignment page on Google Classroom. If you're having trouble with that or it doesn't seem to be working for you, or you just want to double or triple check to make sure that I got it, you can also email your work to me. Again, my email is michael.stanley@goodwillexcel.org. So you can email me a picture of your assignment or email me your Google Doc of the assignment. That's fine too. If you took a picture of on your phone of your work, you can also text your work to me at my work phone number. So 512-531-5457. That is a work number, but it gets forwarded directly to my personal cell phone. And so I'll be able to see that you submitted your assignment over text pretty instantly. And so either uploading it on the Google Classroom, emailing it to me, or texting it to me, all of these ways are perfectly valid and acceptable ways for you guys to turn your work in to me. Like I said, the biggest thing for me is just making sure that you get your work turned in, whether that is through the Google Doc or Google Form or emailing me or texting it to me, and making sure that you get your attendance checked off. So whatever way is the easiest and most straightforward way for you to submit something, then feel free to use that way. I know most of my students are totally fine using the Google Form or Google Docs and just turning it in on the Google Classroom. But if you need to use one of these other options, that is totally fine by me. All right, so like I was saying earlier, physics is all about things that are moving. And so the first couple of weeks, like tomorrow, and then Tuesday, and not tomorrow, Thursday of this week, and then Tuesday, Thursday of next week, we're going to be talking about motion and forces. So how different forces act on objects, and what are some of the different laws that determine how these forces and the motion of the objects will interact. And then the third and fourth week of the term will be about energy, whether that's like heat energy or electrical energy or magnetic energy, and talk about the different ways that it moves from place to place and how it can affect the movement of different things around it. So again, physics is all about movement, whether you're talking about boxes or particles or energy. We're going to be looking into the different ways and the different factors that affect how things move. All right, so a couple of different things that I want to show you on the Google Classroom. So like I was saying, the first assignment that was posted today was to send an email to me at michael.stanley@goodwillexcel.org. It just has your name, the name of this class, and a question you have about this class or school in general. So if you haven't sent me that email yet, make sure you do today. Tomorrow's assignment will be a text message. So tomorrow, be on the lookout for this to post. I have my work phone number posted on here. And essentially, I just want you to kind of have that in your phone to use it at a later date. So it's set up just like the assignment from today, where you're going to text me a question that you have about this class and your name. Your name is important because otherwise I'll have no idea where the message came from. The syllabus up here that was posted at the very beginning of class contains a lot of the information that I was just going over with you guys, but all written up in one kind of simple Google Doc. So our syllabus here has my name, it has my email and my phone number, should you ever need to look it up. It tells you when we meet. So our meeting is Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6:30. And it includes our Meet link, which we're on right now, right here, in case you ever need to go back to that in the future. I think on Monday, I believe, the daily assignment is a quiz about the syllabus. And so, of course, you're always free to go back and look at it before or while you're taking the quiz, because it has all this good information on it. And so I want you to make sure that you know where you can get it from. It has some stuff about the Google Classroom. It has another big section about the attendance policy and the class hours. So again, it has our meeting times. As a reminder about making sure that you attend class and making sure that you complete your daily work in order to get that above that 80% credit. And then it has a little overview of the different ways that you can turn in your work. Well, I should say the different ways that you can complete your work. And then once you do that, how you can turn it in to me. And then finally, a little segment about grading. It essentially just says that I will be releasing grades to you on a regular basis on our Google Classroom, but those might not be the exact grades that are in the Skyward. Or I should say that your Google Classroom grade does not represent your official class grade for physics. So if you ever want to know what your actual physics grade is, you can reach out to me or a life coach, or you can log on to your Skyward account directly. If you aren't currently using Skyward regularly, I would highly recommend it. You can use it to keep track of your grades. You can use it to keep track of your absences to make sure that I didn't mess up and accidentally mark you absent on a day when you weren't supposed to be. And if you haven't been using your Skyward, but you want to get back into it, definitely reach out and let your life coach know, and they can kind of walk you through how to get logged back in to Skyward. So again, even though you're going to be seeing a whole bunch of grades on your Google Classroom, they do not necessarily represent your like official permanent grade for physics. You have to go to Skyward in order to see that. All right, what else? Okay, so like I mentioned, Monday's assignment is going to be a syllabus quiz. So it's just a simple 5-question quiz about some of the different stuff that we've been talking about here today. And so the 2 different versions that it comes in, again, both versions are exactly the same. They have the exact same questions on them. They're just set up a little bit differently. So we have the Google Doc version, which, like I said, is basically just a worksheet put onto the computer. So you can come down and just type in your answers to the different questions underneath each question. One through 5. Or if you'd rather use it, which I know a lot of my students in the past have liked to do, there's also the Google Form version. So the Google Forms tends to be easier to use if you're on a phone or some other mobile device. Again, it has the exact same questions. You just type your answer in the little blanks right here. And then once you're done filling out all the different answers, you hit submit. And a couple different things happen when you hit this submit button. I get a notification sent directly to my email saying that you submitted the quiz. You get a copy of your answers emailed directly to you so that you have them in case I misgrade something or something doesn't go through and you have to show me that you did something. Those will be in your email. So it makes sure that I don't miss anybody and that you always get credit for doing your work and getting your attendance. One thing that will not happen when you hit that submit button on the Google form is that the only downside to the Google form is that it does not tell your Google Classroom that you turned in the assignment. So after you do the Google form, you'll have to come back to the Google Classroom on the assignment page, and usually at like the top right, there'll be a turn in button. And you just have to click that even though you haven't done anything on the doc because you already turned it in using the Google form. So I get a notification that you turned it in, but it might show up as missing on the Google Classroom. And that just means that you haven't marked it as turned in yet. And then finally, like I said earlier at the beginning of class, at the end of every class, I'll post the recording of the class video right here in this section so that if you do miss a class or you're working on a homework and you want to go back and re-listen to what I said about the second law of motion again, you can go back to the video and the class recordings here and find the information that you were looking for. All right. Well, I think that is everything that I wanted to cover with you guys this evening. So does anybody have any questions so far about what physics is, the attendance policy, the daily assignment policy, the different stuff posted on the Google Classroom? Any questions about any of the information that I've gone over with you guys so far tonight?
No, I don't have any.
All right, cool. Thanks, Annalisa. All right, doesn't look like anybody is posting any questions in the chat either. Thanks, Edith. So if you guys do have any questions about anything, or something comes up in the next day or two where you're not sure or you want to ask something, please, 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 you can always feel free to reach out to me, either sending me an email or sending me a text message. I'm always happy to see those and get back to you. I do my best to respond as soon as I am able, but usually my mornings are pretty busy. So if you send it late at night on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night, then I'm probably not going to see it and respond to it until sometime early in the afternoon on the next day. But I will always do my best to get back to you within 24 hours regarding whatever kind of question it is that you had for me.